Hey guys, if you like to party and the stock block is what you're trying to go fast on, we have a new brand for you here, Stock Block the World. Go to the link in the video and support us. It should eventually lead to t-shirts, hoodies, and other apparel. What is up, guys? Alright, so I thought I had bearings the other day. Turns out I had bearings, but they were not the correct ones. See that D there, into that part number? That's for Dow. And I didn't think about that, so I ended up not being able to do anything Tuesday night. Got all the stuff here. So you get the oil pump clean, the bearings. Also got a Moroso accumulator, which I'll show you later because I have not opened it. But so what I'm going to do now is just start rolling these rod bearings in and just check every journal a little bit closer. So we got these guys out. You can tell, obviously, a little heat stricken. Something about 19-20 pounds of oil pressure and 8,700 RPMs. Didn't get along, but we will. We're going to fix that, so it's not a big deal. Thankfully, the crank was good. One thing I may have fudged on, I put the green O-ring on because I was in a hurry, like I always do my own stuff, and that probably should have been black. So before I change the pump, I'm probably going to try that first. As a downside, I always feel like I'm having to rush my own stuff, and little dumb things happen. I'm not saying it's a problem yet, but that very well could have been. I just had Sammy's car on the dyno yesterday with his new 16-volt battery, and he has the same pump, and he doesn't have any issues. Now, obviously, acceleration is a different story down the track from a launch and G-forces, but even then, like at idle, even his was a bit better. So we're going to see what it does. If it doesn't work, then I'll switch back to another pump and hopefully just not mess a crank up in the process, which, let's be honest, the crank's probably trying to break in half anyways. Here, I don't know if I have time to do it today. I'm supposed to have a car dropped off in a moment and I gotta leave, but I need to pull a main out and see if, just to see how they look, make sure not too scarred up, and if so, I'll start sliding some mains in. Give you guys an update. It's been a few hours today. Had some stuff to do this morning, customer stuff. But checked the mains. I checked a few of them while I had the pan off. They look the same as when we put them in. Then I took the window tray. I got a Facebook comment, and John had mentioned it last time. I just didn't take time to check it. But the guy was like, cut a 1/4 inch off of each edge, and you'll be able to fit the window tray. So that's what I did. On the long sides, I cut a 1/4 inch off and went up in there. Also switched to a different O-ring. Actually ended up putting a blue one on that comes with the kit, which is the same as the Melian black one. Now I'm going to prime it, and then we will fire this thing up and see if we just got rid of the noise. So here we go. Fuel tech's got a little mode now called compression mode. And it doesn't tell you your numbers, it just tells you your compression based off of the other cylinders, I guess, the kind of resistance it gets. So let's turn this thing over. This one looks a little low there, but I'm going to check it manually when we get done. It was the lowest one last time too. There we go. Let me try to use 2 hands on this. Let me get it running real quick. I got it running. The oil pressure is still lower than I expect. And the lifters are loud if you can't hear it. So I'm going to kill it, pull the valve covers off, and try to go over it. Maybe we need to switch pumps or something. Alright, as you guys saw, I got it running. Lifters are definitely noisy. So I'm still not liking the pressure I'm seeing. So I'm going to dig into it a little bit. Still need to drain the transmission so we can get the hydraulic fluid in it. and I'm going to pick some up here in a little bit, let this thing cool down, and then I'm going to probably change the transmission filter as well. And what else? I think that's it at the moment. I'm a little scatterbrained at the moment because I'm thinking about why this thing's got low pressure to low. Well, why the lifters are noisy, why the pressure's low. But I'll figure it out. So stay tuned. Hey guys, so I went to get some John Deere High Guard and could not find it. I know they say you can get this as equivalent or that's an equivalent. The thing is, I always buy something like that. It's supposed to be an equivalent, and it doesn't make a big difference. So I don't expect a huge difference, but I'm gonna either look local or just order online and actually get some High Guard and try it and see. Another thing we're doing before I dig back into this, it's Andrew, by the way. We're going to crank the car up with the valve covers off, and we're going to see if all the lifters are pushing oil out through the push rods. Sammy mentioned he wondered if it might have spun a cam bearing, which once again, low oil pressure can do that. If it would have done that, that would explain why our oil pressure is still lower than we want, plus the valve train noise. So we're going to try that and see if we can pinpoint something. And I hope it's not the cam bearing, because then the whole motor's got to come apart. And if it did spin too bad, I can just score that journal with a block, and that is stupid. So we're not really getting any oil to the lifters. So now, could be a pickup issue, could be something else. So let's dig in a little bit deeper and see if we can figure out what we got. You know, ironically, now that it's sitting here, it's kind of bleeding down, but it should have been squirting oil out the top of the rocker arms there where those holes are. All right, guys, new oil pump. Kill the fronts off there. About to find out how much it leaks out the front cover. We're just trying to see if the valve train sounds better and if we got more oil pressure. It's kind of hollow, but it pisses out. Oh, the fuel, I haven't put a fuel pump on. Still shitty oil, actually less oil pressure.
Less?
Yep.
Oh, you trust that key way to say in there?
That's what happens. Anyways, as you guys saw, still got lower oil pressure, still not spraying oil out the top here. Next move might be to just pull the cam out and make sure the bearings look good. So we'll see. I'll probably clean up for tonight and then think about it. Alright guys, there we go. It wasn't that chewed up, but the cam bearing had that little area in it. Obviously it's a bit exaggerated now. Or is it on the back side? Sorry, it's on the back side. You see where it's kind of folded up there? Sorry, the lighting sucks. I got my hands full. But I had to kind of twist it out of there to get the cam out. Thankfully, I don't think we hurt the journal or anything. Got very lucky there. And the board itself seems to look good. I'll take some measurements to make sure. And I think I can put a new front bearing in it. That explains the oil pressure issue we were having. I'm going to probably putting 355 pump back in it. And another thing is, you know, earlier when did the relative compression test, it was reading low on 1. Maybe it just needs some heat in it, because I checked it after that and it was on spec with what it usually is, within the range of the other cylinders. So who knows, witchcraft. But so a bit more in depth than I anticipated, but hopefully I can just put a new cam bearing in that thing and we'll have some oil pressure. Update, and it's a good one. I found the right cam bearing. The one from the other block is actually a different size, so I had to order a set, and I think for the part number was still visible on the one that was trashed, and I got it in there. I just got to remove that broken bolt now, so I'm going to get my welder over here and try to TIG it up. I would use a MIG, but it's out of gas. So that's what I'm about to do, and hopefully this bearing, it pressed in there pretty tight, so I just got to cross my fingers it doesn't spin. If it does, hopefully it's the last run of the last pass of the year. So I think that's a fair request. I win. I've still got to win the ultimate war, but I've won the battle here. Just kind of used some filler rod and built up on it a little bit, and then I put took a pair of vice grips, held the nut, and filled it full of filler rod, and it came out really easy. So thankfully, easy to remove. Unfortunately, it wouldn't knock out with a hammer and a punch, but this did take it a few minutes. So, and I got a new retainer plate and bolts here from BTR. So let me get those on. Stopping point for the evening. Got the cam gear on there. Nothing crazy, you know, simple stuff. Dot to dot. You know, obviously the cam's agreed in. But tomorrow morning, hopefully I'll have the motivation to get out of bed early and get here so I can try to get a little more done. I need to get the oil pump on, along with really just the front cover. The oil pump on, front cover, oil pan, and I can fire this thing up without the balancer on it using the primer pump, just to see if the oil pressure is back to where it should be and if it sounds all right. If not, then I'll probably end up just taking the whole dang thing all the way back apart. If it does sound good, I will most likely end up changing the oil because it's got some cheap stuff in it now, and just get the good stuff in there. You know, I don't know what day, one day this week. Then I get up on the two-step and just to see how oil pressure reacts and if the bearing falls out. But feeling better about it now. The other cam bearing, you know, sometimes even though these blocks are the same or similar, I swear GM will have some in-between year stuff. So the machine shop I use, they developed a little spreadsheet, so take a measurement to see what size the OD is on the block, and or you know, I guess ID of the bore, cam bore, OD of that bearing, to see what size that is, and that helps, you know, that way they can do like, okay, cool, I needed this bearing right here. Because at first I followed the stuff, took them some bearings, stuff kept not lining up, you know, even though it should have, and finally they figured out, you know, their routine. And I'm like, you know what, that's cool, you guys put some cam bearings in it, and we'll be good to go. If I had more time, I would, you know, love to just kind of have all of them replaced, since I can see a little bit of signs of wear in the other ones from, you know, obviously lack of lubrication. Did me a bit of an idiot, but that's just not in the cards right now. Super busy. They're super busy. If this doesn't fix it, then like I said, I'll have some brainstorming to do, see if I can figure something out. But anyways, gonna head home for the evening, and hopefully I'll make some progress in the morning. So as you guys saw, we got oil pressure, not rattling like it was before, and we got oil to the lifters. It's kind of an erratic video, but anyways, I'm gonna change the oil. The motor sounds a lot better. I'm gonna change the oil and get the normal stuff back in it, and of course get the front cover and everything back on it, and just see if that picks up the oil pressure some. You know, as you can tell, as it ran for a little bit, it finally started pushing through the lifters. And this oil's in it, some cheap stuff. I think the methanol broke it down pretty fast, so that could explain a lot as well. But it's the same stuff I had in there the other day when I was first putting it back together with the new rod bearings. So we're gonna see what we got. So let me give you guys an update on what we've tried so far to get oil pressure back. As you know, we replaced the front cam bearing, got rid of lifter noise, got oil back to the push rods. Still wasn't, oil pressure wasn't what it should be. It was about, in my opinion, about 12 to 13 psi low. Well, I guess about first is about 15 to 16. Then took the oil pump back out, put the really stiff spring in it, and that made it about 12 to 13. So I still knew something wasn't right. Thought about it a lot. Took the oil pan back off. I think I've done some stuff in between since the last video, but I just got tired of recording and not making any real difference. But so what we did, I have an engine primer, like when you pressurize. Sammy was like, pressurize the block with the oil pan off. We made a little plate, you see that, to block off the factory oil filter route. So actually, now that I've said that, let me step back. Put a plug off the block, off the front galley, right by the oil pump, and had like 70 psi there. But we would measure off the oil filter turbo feed, and we'd have 40 psi. So we're like, how is a filter causing 30 psi pressure drop? So I went and bought another filter, like some kind of K&N or whatever, just to try. It's exactly the same, and I was like, oh, it seems like it's not the filter. Excuse me. Yeah. Well, ended up pressurizing, like I mentioned, with the primer, and that piece blocked off. And what I noticed, and I'll include a cell phone video, it's like hemorrhaging oil out from the rear cam bearing. I don't know if it didn't look damaged whenever we took the cam out, but of course it's the one furthest back. So now what I'm going to do is pull the engine, pull the cam back out, and pull the rear plate off. So that's my goal. I don't know if I should get the engine out this morning, and maybe I'll get the rear plate and stuff off and the cam out this evening after we close. But I'm going to do that and see what we got going on back there. Hopefully it's just a bearing that got damaged from the low oil pressure or something else. And if that's the case, knock a bearing in there and get it back together. And this time before I put it back in, I can pressurize it again. But yeah, I've been over this thing a lot, and it's been quite repetitive, to say the least. So thankfully I've been able to keep my sanity, because usually I do the same thing over and over and keep failing, and it gets pretty frustrating. But so far so good. So that's what I gotta do now. I need to clean up a little bit of this Valdez oil spill that's underneath the car from dripping out of the pan. I hate it so much. And then I'll get the cherry picker over here and start getting this engine ready to come out. But so that's where we're at. I don't, shady side's coming up this coming weekend. I don't think we're gonna make it. Was the valve open? Mm-hmm. Oh, there it goes. Okay. It's definitely around that rear cam bearing, it just gushes out. So you can see just barely not blocking the oil feed hole to the bearing, so it makes sense why it was peeking out like it was. Some idiot who put the cam in was obviously too aggressive. But I'll forgive him. I'm going to knock this guy back in there. No reason to replace it, in my opinion, because I do not want to, waste my cam bearings in case I need one. So let me knock this thing back in. Alright guys, I am going to try to show you this. But as you remember in the last video, it was hemorrhaging pretty bad from the rear cam bearing. Now you can kind of see we got stuff everywhere. So it looks like it's actually dispersing evenly like it should. Let me hook the air blower back up. So I'm pressurizing it. See, as it's starting to run down the mains. Obviously there's the front main. Obviously a little bit out the cam, which you expect because it goes everywhere. Whereas before, in another video, it was almost exclusively hemorrhaging out that rear cam bearing. I will get the camera in there more, but I don't want to get oil all over it. So I guess now the next step is to put it back together and to get it in the car and cross my fingers. Alright guys, it's almost 10:30 on Tuesday night. Got up at 5:30 the past 2 mornings to come in here and get some stuff done before we open. We're getting ready to drop this thing back in. As you saw this morning, pressure checked it. Looks like it's, the oil's being distributed evenly. Obviously, we'll find out. But I'm gonna get this thing dropped in and hope it goes smoothly because I am tired. So here we are, almost midnight, and we just primed it. We had to prime the pump again, of course, because it's a pain, but whatever. But it's looking good. So let's get this thing fired up. Hopefully it stays running. See, it's being slow to build fuel pressure. Let me cheat it. One second, we got a leak. Get the oil pressure and fuel pressure up. Keep it running. Huh? No, you do it. Still being, huh? Yeah, I got you. It's got a ton of oil pressure. It's just a fuel. It still got air in, I think. Yeah, I'll cheat it again. So you saw, guys, we got some oil pressure back, and it's actually higher than it's ever been. So it makes me wonder if maybe I kind of foobered that cam bearing, when we were putting it back together after swapping blocks. This happens when you're in a hurry, but no excuses aside. Glad that we got good pressure, and it rises well also. Once the engine got to like 180-ish, or 180 probably, it started getting to like the high 30s, so it came down a bit, but that's still great compared to before. Before it would rise like 10 psi, whereas now it would rise 30-40 psi, so it's doing what it's supposed to. The next day or two I'll get it down and get on the two-step just to make sure it does good there and everything does okay, and then I will get this transmission fluid changed out. So let's do a two-step. I let it sit overnight. Let's see what it rates to on the two-step. PSI. Of course, the data logger's full, so I'll erase all that. But it's definitely substantially better than before. And the engine temperature, as you can see, I think it was like in the 150s when we started. So good deal. So let's just go over this situation again. It was self-induced without a doubt. It stems from I'm always rushing my own stuff because I just don't have time. And unfortunately, I'm old now, so I have to actually sleep, which really, makes things difficult. And when you're doing stuff, when you're tired, it makes it hard to do it the way you want, or you don't think about things. During the day, put all I can to in customer stuff, but this thing either gets really early mornings, and even in the mornings, you're trying to rush to get stuff done, and then in the evenings, I only got so much time before I got to head out, before the wife gets off usually, and so just trying to get what I can done between that, because you have a car at this level, especially when you're being an idiot like I was, you're going to you got to work on it, sometimes more than others, and sometimes more in depth than others, but kind of to go back on what happened was, I noticed at the Shady Side race, it was dropping pressure a little worse. I was like, well, these G-forces, the car was 60 foot and really good there. I was like, maybe that's what it is. Ended up, put the new oil pan on. Excuse me. Oh, man. Put the new oil pan on and ended up being even worse. Now, I think there's a chance that I possibly used the wrong O-ring because I just reused the one off of the OEM pickup, which is a slightly different design. Once again, should have thought about it for a second instead of being in a hurry. Then when we get to the track, noticed it was dropping. And when it comes to racing, I will mess some stuff up. I've done stuff in the past, and it's cost me some time and money for sure. Because I want to race, and when I get to the track, it's hard to turn that off. I did really good to not try to run it, hearing the rod noise that I did. So that itself was really good for me. But so that running at that low pressure like that at Piedmont, after we did the oil pan, we got some rod bearings, and I kind of assumed, I was like, is it the pan? How's it worse with this pan? This pan's got a much better design. My buddy Carl, KP Tuning, I talked to him a lot, and he was like, he went from an LSA pan to that pan at Moroso pan, and it picked up, picked up pressure down track. So replaced all the rod bearings, found 3 that were damaged. Thankfully, crank looked great. Then got rid of the rod bearing noise, but had top end noise. As you saw, didn't have any oil going to the pusher rods. Well, that ended up being a damaged front cam bearing. So the front cam bearing basically gets oil last in the LS system, and obviously when you're dropping pressure like that, it's not getting what it should. Replaced that. Got rid of the noise, but I still was not happy with the oil pressure. Like, if it would have been around 60 or something like it used to be, cold idle, maybe 52 after it gets some methanol in it, I would not have been surprised, but I just knew what was normal. So that's why we ended up doing the test where we pressurized the system, found the leak internally, replaced the rear cam bearing, and also while I had it out, I put the green spring, which is a high pressure spring, in the Melling 100355 pump. Also made sure to use the appropriate O-ring this time with the pickup. And now, as you tell, cold, it's got, almost 70 or almost 80 pounds of oil pressure, which is crazy. Never seen that ever. So tells me we're on to something. Obviously, the track with a true test between the burnout. My burnouts are usually pretty aggressive. I don't beat off the limiter, but I have a burnout limiter set at like 7,900, and I do hit that limiter. So not the main limiter, but that and a pass and everything will be a really good test. I still have that accumulator. I'm gonna save it for the next video. I'm gonna put that on anyways because hopefully it's good low pressure protection just in case. But Woodstock is next weekend. So I got some stuff to do this weekend on the trailer, trying to get things ready, and I will hopefully be ready for that. Anyways, the moral of the story here is take your time. If you don't, you work harder, and if you see something bad at the track, you're like, man, wasting this money to get here and all this time of driving and stuff like that. I've got way more hours in trying to chase this car's oiling issue than if I would have stopped then. And I'm hoping, God, here we go. I'm hoping I'll learn from this. Like I said, when it comes to racing, I am hard-headed because I want to race, and I will mess some stuff up in the process, which is dumb of me because I just let it take over. But all that crap aside, that's it. So just take your time, double-check things. No matter how often you do it, you can you can mess something up. And that's when you do this as a hobby, it's nice because you can really focus on it. For me, I feel like I'm rushing, even though I'm technically off the clock. I guess I'm never really off the clock, and I always just want to get my stuff done so I can focus back on customer stuff, even if it's after hours. So that part gets annoying at times, but part of it. So anyways, so this is my video. Hope you guys learned something. If you judge me for it, I really don't care. So that's cool too. But that being, all that, just appreciate you guys watching, and make sure you like, share, and subscribe.